WithoutWire, and we're excited to have you join us. We are a couple minutes before the hour. I just wanted to do an audio check if you're having difficulty hearing me or have any questions on, or not being able to see my screen. If you use the toolbar chat to let me know, we'll get those addressed right away. Appreciate you logging in early, and again, we'll get started in just a minute or two on our Microsoft Power BI focused webinar today, sponsored by Microsoft and WithoutWire. Okay, again, good afternoon. This is Steve Dwyer with WithoutWire, and we are at the top of the hour, so we are ready to get started. I want to thank you all for joining us for our 1-hour webinar on Microsoft Power BI, and we're pleased to have Mike Fulkerson of Microsoft joining us, along with Travis Smith, our Chief Technology Officer here at WithoutWire. I do have you on listen-only mode. If you do have any questions, either audio challenges or visual, can't see the slides or something, please type that into the chat window. We also want this to be interactive, so I'll be monitoring for any questions throughout the webinar and invite you to type those in at any time, and we'll try to get those addressed as they come in. As I look at the attendee list, really excited about the group that we have today. We have longtime customers of WithoutWire. We have relatively new customers of WithoutWire. We have prospects. We have partners like resellers of some of the ERP platforms. Many of you are using Microsoft Dynamics ERPs today, but we have some using other ERP systems as well, as we do have a fully scalable WithoutWire WMS system. What you're looking at right now on the screen is our main page of our website. And just as a kind of maybe a check here, we are, if you go into the webinars tab, we have monthly webinars on a variety of topics. Last month in January, we talked about our Dynamics integration using Smart Connect. This month and today, we're talking about Microsoft Power BI. And next month in March, a deep dive into manufacturing. And we're going to leave you in suspense in terms of April and beyond. But you can always check this out under our company heading of our website. Mike Fulkerson is the Data Platform Technology Specialist at Microsoft. He's going to lead the presentation and then turn it over to Travis Smith, again, our Chief Technology Officer, and he'll do the second portion of the presentation, putting the Power BI into its application in the WithoutWire platform. So again, I'll be monitoring questions, and I'll turn it over to Mike so we can get started.
Okay. Right. Hi, everyone. Let me switch over to my presentation here. Okay, great. So thank you for this opportunity to talk today. Oh, I got that. There we go. Okay, there we go. Full screen. Always works. So My name is Mike Fulkerson. I'm a data platform technology specialist based in the Twin Cities. I work with a variety of customers and industries, working with things such as SQL Server, our advanced analytics platform in the cloud, so increasingly talking to people about big data, advanced analytics. And one of our more popular products right now is in the data visualization space in Power BI. And I'm very excited to talk to you today about this in conjunction with WithoutWire. They're using Power BI as part of their latest software as a service offering for inventory management. And I will say it's one of the more innovative and well done implementations of integrating Power BI into an application. So a little bit about how to get analytics and data is Microsoft commissioned a study a while back with a group called the IDC, and what they found was that of the 2,000 companies they interviewed, there were some interesting trends and opportunities for companies that act in, I'll call it, a data-centric or a data-focused way. They found that companies that behave with data first and foremost in mind potentially stand to gain $1.6 trillion, not all at once, but their fair share of that, compared to companies that don't. And what they found in companies that are innovative and embracing data and lots of data and doing advanced analytics with it is, they're going to a place now where they're able to keep all of their data. Storage is down, compute is getting cheaper, and then the number of algorithms or data models that you can use for doing advanced analytics has grown both in popularity but also in practical application. And the other thing that's important is making this capability accessible to more people and more organizations. And this is where Power BI comes in. Experience your data any way and anywhere. Currently, Microsoft, and this slide's a little out of date, but within the last couple months, we've registered 5 million subscribers in 210 countries and is being used by 200,000 plus organizations. And you can get this data from a variety of different sources: Microsoft Cloud, Microsoft Dynamics, SQL Server, anything that you would expect to connect from Microsoft, but also non-Microsoft Cloud. So different products such as Salesforce, QuickBooks, Twilio, just to name a few. And then on-premises data. Microsoft being a leader in the enterprise space for providing solutions to businesses, small and large, made sure that when we come out with a BI product, it isn't just about being in the cloud. You do have to, whether it be for regulatory purposes or just trying to take advantage of existing assets you have on premises. We're going to allow you to seamlessly connect in a hybrid way your on-premises Oracle, Teradata, SQL Server, DB2, what have you. And then we add intelligence on top of that.
Okay, and sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I just got a comment here that they were one of our callers is only able to receive audio. They cannot see Mike's screen. Is anyone else not able to see Mike's screen? Here's another one. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It was just one, so we'll have Mike continue.
All right, and I will, for anybody who's having, if there's any problems, we'll be with this being recorded, correct? And then I can also get out in a PDF form the slide. Okay. All right, so talk a little bit about software as a service. It's really the term that is being applied to cloud-based software solutions. And to give you an idea of how this is changing the landscape.
Okay, so another one is not seeing it also. You did accept as a presenter?
Yeah.
Prompt on this? Yeah, right. Okay, so we're going to continue, and yes, we will provide the slide deck afterwards. Okay? So please continue.
All right. So if you worked in an organization where you were adopting something like CRM in the past, a lot of people were familiar with Siebel. If you wanted to do anything in that space, you would spend a lot of money. It was a long project to implement, a lot of computer hardware being brought into your facility, and it was really required a big, large capital investment. Well, things like Microsoft Dynamics Online, Salesforce have really disrupted that space, such that you don't need a lot of money to get started. Start small and then grow large as your company grows or your needs grow. And it provides all of the same capabilities that these larger companies used to have. So now even the smallest of companies can compete in the global marketplace, and there's no barriers to entry when it comes to purchasing software, because a lot of times it's now just an operating expense. Another example would be the file share. If you wanted to share files with each other, you would have to set up a network with file share servers in your organization, and it was quite often expensive and required a lot of people to manage. Things like OneDrive and Dropbox have replaced those in the modern workplace, and now you can have virtually unlimited storage for your organization, and you can share documents seamlessly no matter where you are. And then in the BI space, we look at products like Power BI. The software as a service first model that allows you to get going as you are ramping up. You can download and start with Power BI for free, both with our desktop tool and with the cloud service. And as you find use case for it in your business, you can start consuming it on a per user per month basis, which retails for approximately $10 a month. We don't have any add-ins or any extra special stuff. We have $10 a month cost that includes everything that you would need from our on-premises gateway connectors, our advanced security, everything is included in that $10 a month price. And we're able to do that because of the software as a service model, where we're spreading that cost out across many different organizations. With Power BI, you can do a lot of things besides just doing your traditional reports. You can do live dashboards. So real-time streaming of data to your dashboards or your solutions. So if you're monitoring progress of shipments or monitoring the stock market, monitoring social media, all of these things are capable when you combine Power BI with the power of Microsoft's Azure cloud. And then in terms of how you can experience Power BI, besides the desktop tools, we have Power BI as a web-based service, so you can see it on virtually any screen. We have native phone applications for Android, iOS, and Windows. So now when you write a report, you can write it once and experience it across all of these devices without having to make any changes. Get started quickly. So we have a marketplace of vendors that have put their solutions, Dynamics, for example, and I'm going to do a demo here in a little bit, showing off how we can easily connect to Dynamics CRM, or in my case, I'm going to connect to Dynamics Financials. So this is just a list, and this is just a small list of all the different services, and it's not just about that connectivity. We actually, working with these partners, build out a sample dashboard for you to get started with, kind of a best practices for looking at their data. And experiencing your data in new ways. So besides just visually looking at your data, we have capabilities around natural language query, which is the ability to just type questions like you would possibly into, let's say, Google or Bing, and just ask a question. You can either type it, or in the case of we're using Cortana Intelligence in Windows 10, you can speak to your computer and it will return answers. So instead of just asking, you know, how did the Twins do last night, or what's the weather like, you can ask questions like, what were my sales like yesterday? And that's all empowered by our integration with Cortana Intelligence. And seamless integration with Office 365. In fact, one announcement that just came out that's very exciting is, if you're a SharePoint Online user, we now have the ability to very easily and quickly embed Power BI reports directly into the SharePoint portal in the online, and that just came out and is in preview. So if you want more information on that, I can get it to you. All right, and you can continue to author with Excel and Power BI Desktop. We're going to look at Power BI Desktop, but if you are an Excel user, all of those skills that you've learned in Excel and have mastered over the years, that is going to complement or basically give you all the skills that you need to work with Power BI. All right, and then we can connect a variety of different sources. So you can take data from, let's say, GP, a SQL server, a web feed, and combine it all together and very quickly and rapidly without a large investment in terms of time and creating a data model and going through all the work that's involved with ETL processes. You can quickly, right on your desktop, build out very rich modeling. And frankly, that's where Power BI really shines above the competition, is the ability to take data from a variety of different sources and combine it on the back end. And then we talked about the hybrid a little bit, the ability to not only use data that's cloud-borne, software as a service products, but also take data from your existing on-prem and combine it and bring it into a Power BI dashboard, and also control that data in when IT governance is required over very confidential or regulated data. You can make sure that data is always living on premises and not being stored in the cloud. I have a couple examples of customers. These are some testimonies from MediaCom. If you have cable here in the Midwest, you probably know who they are. Another one is California Power, doing some real-time streaming with Power BI and Azure Analytics. And another one is a laundry company that's used it to analyze their data and find trends very quickly. Okay, I'm going to switch over to a demo here in a little bit, but I just wanted, and this will be in the deck, I've been told that a lot of customers are using these products, Jet Reports and Solver BI 360. I think you'll find is what Power BI does is complements and augments that, and they have testimony to that on their own website. So these are our partners of Microsoft. They've built solutions on our platform, and they're looking at Power BI to enhance the rich analytics and focus they have on finances and on ERP. They're able to expose that data warehouse or those cubes that they build for you, and you can plug Power BI into that. All right, now to a demo. All right, so if you haven't used Power BI before, what I encourage you to do is go to powerbi.com and download the Power BI desktop tool, which is a free download. You can use this as long as you just want to look at something yourself. As soon as you want to start sharing stuff, that's when you want to look at the Power BI service, which I said retails for about $10 a month. But this will allow you to build, it's a fully featured desktop tool, allows you to build everything, and there's nothing's turned off, so you can get the full experience of what Power BI delivers. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we're looking at here. So I'll show you how to build a chart really quick, but talking about descriptive analytics. And while descriptive analytics is a very important piece of monitoring your business activity, it's what we often like to refer to as rear view mirror looking capabilities. And it's very important, and it's something that Power BI delivers really well. But what I really wanted to quickly touch on, and we won't spend a lot of time delving into this, but with our Microsoft made an investment in the R language, which anybody who's doing anything with data science and advanced analytics, they're coming out of college, it's a language that they know. So if you're hiring data scientists or you have one on staff, they're going to probably know of R or are using it. And this is the kind of stuff that you can do. So with descriptive analytics, I'm just looking at my trends, and it's important, but there's nothing really insightful or actionable immediately that jumps out. But with predictive analytics, I can now start seeing things like clustering, visually a difference in the amount in the purchasing by sales territory. We start seeing clusters of groups together. And then I can start seeing how different products, I apologize, this is a little washed out, but there's arrows between these. This is called an association graph, or basically it shows relationships between products that are frequently bought together. And this is all done with the R language, and then it can be presented within Power BI. So how did I build this out? Well, when you start with Power BI, you start out with this Get Data. So the first thing you'd want to do is go to Get Data. And I'll just quickly show you. Okay. All right, so just checking the time here. So we have, here's just a list of all the different things that we can connect to. We can connect to all the different file types, JSON, XML, and does a great job at dealing with and manipulating these complex file types like XML and JSON. On the online services, of particular note, Dynamics 365, we have financials here as well, and I'll show you a quick example of that as well. So you pick these, and then here's what the back end looks like. And if you're familiar, I'll apologize for that, this is the Power Query. So if you've worked with Excel recently, you're familiar with Power Query. So you have all the capabilities of Power Query to connect to things. So this is where you would write either SQL, so if you're pulling data out, let's say out of your Great Plains database on the back end, you could write SQL or access stored procedures and pull those in. And then as soon as you have your model built out, you can define relationships. It'll auto-detect relationships as well. And then you can further define the data types and build out your model. And what you're building out now is a Power BI file or a PDX file, much like a Word doc or an Excel file. And then you would publish that to Power BI. What I'm publishing up is not just the reports and the analytics or the visualizations that I built, but it's that data model I built up. If I so choose, I can also publish up that data model with all of its data. So if you're familiar with Microsoft Analysis Services cubes, that's what's being published up to the Power BI service, and now you have very fast, quick access to this. And I'll show you an example of what this looks like within the service. So now I'm in one of the reports that I would have built. I'll just go full screen on this so you can see it. This is a typical report. This is a finance-related report. You'll see that the rich interactivity, I didn't have to be some kind of super programmer to get this all to work. This just works for you. The ability to do multiple tabs, look at things like cost of goods sold, drill down on the various different charts, all works, and you have lots of controls and flexibility about how this is laid out. And then if you're just looking to get started really quick, let's say you're a Dynamics 365 for financials customer, you can go to this Get Data tab, go to Services, and here you'll see the list of all the people in our marketplace that have put out services. So you would click this, and I would just click the Get Now button. I've done this in advance because it takes about a minute for it to connect. You give it your credentials, and you're all set and ready to go. And then when it's all done, you would get and this is just a standard dashboard that you would then go in and customize to your own organization. But this is just a sample Dynamics account that I connected to. I have a dashboard, and I have all these different tabs that it's built out for me very quick. And now I can customize that and add additional data for my organization in there. All right. So I'm just about out of time. Getting the exit music here, but I wanted to show you a couple more slides here. So we'll make sure to get this information out to you. If you're local to the Twin Cities, we have a Microsoft BI user group that meets monthly. Of course, go to powerbi.com, download the free desktop tool, get started, sign up for a free account, and start trying this all out today. And then feel free to contact me. That's my email address, and you can follow me. I sometimes tweet on interesting things related to Power BI and maybe about local sports as well. So I'm at mfulte. All right, well, thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. And Mike will be here for the half hour, so if you have questions that pop up in your mind, type those in through the chat line, and I'm going to switch presenters now because I don't see any current questions. Over to Travis, our Chief Technology Officer, and we'll make Travis the presenter.
Okay, great. Steve, can you hear me and the team here?
Yes, the audio sounds great. And if anybody has challenges, just type it in those and we'll get those addressed.
Okay, great. Thanks everybody for attending today. I wanted to really deep dive a little bit into just quickly how we leverage Power BI in our system, and also just quickly how you can go in and modify the dashboards that we have in our system and add your own if you want. One of the things that you'll see here, I've logged into my sample system here, and I want to show you a couple things. Number one, this is when you first launch it up, a Power BI graph dashboard pulls back all this data for you out of the box. So there's really nothing you have to do for that. And so in this case, we're looking at how many lines per day we're averaging, what are our top items by month in volume, total transactions that are happening in the system, total lines per picker. You know, the picker in the warehouse is going through and picking products. How many quantities are they picking total? And the number of shorts that we get per vendor per month. Those are the standard graphs that we have on this dashboard today. The other nice thing we have here is if you look over here in the right-hand corner, we can expand this thing up to a full screen view, which is nice if you want to put a dashboard up in your warehouse facility. And this thing will just auto refresh itself every 15 minutes or so. And so you can kind of give people an idea of what's going on and what their attention should be spent on. I'm going to pull back here and get out of the full screen mode. Okay. So we were on the home screen looking at the dashboards. I went under Business Intelligence here, and I have something called Dashboard Movements, which I'm looking at right here. So as the default here, we've got a warehouse PBIX file, which Mike had referenced. I have a staff PBIX file, which is another graph that we can use for different purposes. I can download to get started if I want to. I can also upload and put a brand new custom report up there. But for this, I'm gonna take the warehouse and I'm gonna download it, and I'm gonna work on that. So you can see it's downloading, and once it's done, I'm just gonna open it up, and it's gonna pull up the Power BI dashboard or desktop tool here. Let me do that. So what's happening here is when we pull it down to the desktop, it requires connectivity to individual PCs. So for security purposes, I have to ensure that my developer has access to the database. You'll see here that I can't display this information yet, but because I have to readjust my connection string. And we'll go through that. But when you go through this process, and we have it outlined in a tutorial that we provide you, but it's going to take you through, and you're going to submit a request to get access to the database, the SQL database that's sitting in our Azure environment. Once you have that access, you can go ahead and work with this and then publish it back up. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make sure under my options and settings, I'm going to go to my data source settings. I'm going to modify my connection string here. So give me a second. I'm going to go in here and put in this would be something you're going to get from the support team, but I'm just going to put it in here. Make sure my permissions are correct. Okay. Again, this is going to be given to you by support, your own individual username, password security. I'm going to close that out and apply the changes here. And once I have that done, then I should be hooked up and ready to go. Let me take a moment here. Okay, so now I'm getting my data. So this is the exact same data as the production system has. Now let's say I want to make some modifications to this thing. So I can take things and size them around In this case, I'm going to make room for a new graph that we're going to put in place. And even though you see these can't display, basically, when you take it offline and if for some reason the query is taking too long through your slow connection, you're just going to see this. It's nothing to worry about right now. But what we're going to do now is we're going to add a new data source. So if I go over here to my, my data sources, you know, as we were looking at earlier, I can create my own data source, and I can also go to edit my queries. And so under queries here, these are the queries that are tied behind the scenes to all these graphs that we do out of the box. Within here, I can create a new data source. I can create a blank query. You know, and if you do a blank query, you can actually then pull that data and store it right into the dashboard. If you wanted to, let's say, share this out to somebody, you can store all that data right within the PBIX file, so that somebody doesn't need to have security permissions to do that. So if I go into SQL Server here, which is what we're using, and I put in my connection string here, and I'm going to go under Advanced Options here, so we can put in our query. You can put in how many minutes you're going to allow for timeout, so I put 3 as general. And then I also have this query that I put together earlier. You know, this is where you would do your own query building. But for me, what I want to do is I want to create a new graph that gives me some idea, in this case, about how often my shorts are happening, and I'm looking for any exceptions where there's just a lot of shorts going on. So I'm going to paste in my query here. I'm going to hit Save. And as that's running, then I should be back. I'm going to click OK. Okay, now I've got my new query in here, and I'm going to rename it. And I'm going to call it something like Order Short Stories. So we're looking for, you know, information about shorts. What I've got in this query is this is starting every day of the year, so we have 356 days in the year. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling back any situations where I had a shortage, and I'm summarizing those by day, by order type. So here you'll see I've got transfer orders, sales orders, wave sets, jobs, and then what facility did this happen in? So for example, if I had different warehouses, each of those would be listed here. And then I have the total size of the order. Was this a big order? And what it's really the total sum quantity that was on that order or that movement or that pick. And then how big of the short was. So an example here might be, you can see of the 42 quantities, I shorted 2. In this case, the 0, meaning I shorted out completely the order. So I have 4 that I've shorted, nothing got shipped. Here's an example where I shipped out 101, there was 399 shorted. So it gives you, you'll be able to see it when I put it into the graph form here as well. So I'm going to close and apply this. So I'm going to place a new graph right in here. I made some room for it. I'm going to pick a stacked area chart. So if I click on that, it's going to start with putting it in place. I can sound however I want to. Just do that quickly. Now I need to put and start feeding data into it. I can start by, for example, going into naming the graph. So if I wanted to put in here a title, first I think I'm going to fill in the details. I'm going to put in day of the year as the, hang on a second. I'm going to put in my day of the year as a axis on this chart. And I'm going to use my shorted quantity and use that as a value on the chart. And I'm going to use my total size as well. So what that's going to do is give me 2 different data points. One is, you'll see here, the total size of this order that has short on it was set to be 101. So there's a large amount of short on this one. So this gives you some idea historically for the entire year what you're looking at, and you can look for these weird events that have happened, and you can do some analysis on it. I can also do filtering on these. So once I have this, I'm gonna go in and just kind of make some modifications to it, just for aesthetic purposes here. Okay, and just going to make some quick change to the background to make it match up with the rest of what I've got here. Okay, some minor tweaks here to the size and placement of this, just so it matches with mine. Okay, and I'm going to now, I've got what I'm looking for here. I'm going to save this. And we're going to put this off to a, call this just warehouse. Okay, I'm going to replace what I had earlier. So now that it's saving it out as a new PBAX file, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Now I go back into my dashboard and I'm going to replace this one that I have out there. So I'm just going to have to go browse to it here. And there it is. Do I want to replace it? Yes. Now what's happening here is the connection string that was originally used in my desktop is now going to be replaced with the internal connection string within the Azure production environment. So now you can see here it indicates that I have customized it and when it was modified. And now if I go back to the home page here, I should see my new dashboard uploaded into the system. There it is. So it's kind of an interesting, now within here, you'll also notice one of the things that's kind of nice is the filtering. So when you come into filtering, you'll see some of these things I have set up. If I wanted to look at certain warehouses only, I can go back and it's going to pull out and query all the unique values out of my data source. If I want to just look at warehouse-specific things, I could do that, and it's going to update the chart accordingly. So kind of a neat tool to use. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface here on what you can do, but you can see it's quite easy to plug in new stuff that you want to leverage internally. And you can actually then create parameters that will drive values, as I think Mike was showing on one of his. You can create connections and parameters that drive the graphs back and forth between these, and that's also something you can do as a more advanced feature. So in terms of a demonstration, that's what I had to show today, and hopefully it gives you a good idea of how easy it is to use.